Finally, both the Bahamian Constitution and the right to citizenship were addressed.
The Constitution was written for the needs of the people, am I correct? Am I correct?
Essentially,
Okay.
it reflects.
Okay, it reflects. Times change. Wouldn't we, if it was written to reflect, I would think that's why amendments can be done.
Right.
So, if...
Let me stop you there for a moment. Is it your view that as a country we ought to take the position that if you are in fact born here, grew up here, went through all our schools, reached the age of 18, you've never lived anywhere else, our position ought to be you can be denied or should be denied citizenship and you ought to find some other place to live? Is that your view of what we should do?
I can't say that in isolation.
Just take it in the average case. Just think of the average Haitian who is here in either of the schools from grade 1 all the way to 12, who's only here because their both parents were illegal immigrants, came on the boat from Gonaive. Child was born here, went through the whole school system, and just consider it the average. Lived in that shanty town right across from you, went to the school right within stone throw from you, but this has been their only experience. As a matter of fact, when they came of age, they moved out of the shanty town and started renting from someone's cousin.
It doesn't matter if they move out to shanty town and go and rent. You know, if you're illegal, you're illegal. Let me just put that pin note there.
Right.
But the application must be made, and it can be rejected. It should not be mandatory.
But your sense is, though, that that person ought to find somewhere else to go.
Once their parents were here, illegally.
I would rather say, in a case like that, that person should be granted citizenship because they don't know other country.
Well,
They
you
don't know
have
other country.
thousands and thousands of
Thousands.
In fact, all of the people that prevent children from getting into
It
the
falls in
school.
that category.
Yes. So a part of our solution then is we've got to draw a line and deal with the reality of what we have now.
And say from here going forward,
The Americans have a problem with the Mexicans and whatnot, and they realize it's too big a problem to try to send them all back, right? I think we do need to have a policy in place where we look at the ones who are here already, look at how we could assimilate them. I think we need to, in terms of the current policy, I think that anyone who's born here is entitled to citizenship. If we are slack enough to let them keep coming in, once they're born here, they're entitled to citizenship. If you're born to a Bahamian parent, whether they're married or not, you should be entitled to citizenship. But the key for us is we have to look at cutting off the constant supply of people coming in.
Some resolutions were proposed.
We can solve this issue, you know, but I just think the government, and my concern, just don't want to deal with this the way they should deal with this. My thing about this is, I was thinking about it when my wife mentioned the concern in the immigration problem. Why don't we look at trying to regularize the people in the best way we can? Give certain years, you give certain status. And after a period of time, then you can put them in the system, make them permanent resident. If you could take a nice, humane approach to it, we can solve it, you know. And anyone who is here illegal, whatever nationality it is, we deal with it direct. We just find them and we deport them. Not at the government expense, at their expense. And if they have family members, at their expense. You have to ensure that the expense does not be on the government. And I think the government has been allowing themselves to take on this load of paying and repatriating people at the expense of the Bahamian people. These people are housed by family members. And whoever these family members are, they should be responsible for paying for these people to depart this country.
As we draw this line and move forward, we still have large numbers of people who have already moved through our system, large numbers who are waiting to register, and So the question is, to what degree are we going to become one society as opposed to separate and equal, or either separate or separate and unequal, whatever the case may be?
If I may say so, I think my generation, no. My children, no, but maybe my grandchildren.
Yeah.
I look at it this way, and if you look around, you'll see it. The more younger girls, like girls between the ages of 16, 18, 20, they're getting into the Bahamian Haitian boyfriend and husband. I'll never have a Haitian. I'm 67. My daughter, I don't think she would have one, but maybe my granddaughter.
I think this discussion this evening certainly underscores the fact that it is a complex issue, and solving it really requires some real significant actions. And there is at least an acknowledgement, and I think Zendel raises a very important point, that a part of the solution involves the proactive control mechanisms, in addition to the thing that we know has to come next, which is how do you move more of them from the shadows into mainstream by blending more of the culture, while everyone gets to keep their own identity, but at least making sure we're not isolated, separate, and at least begin to address some of the challenges that lead to resentment and anger and people feeling completely isolated in the society, to the point where you have no choice but to resort to bribery and corruption and anything else in order to make your way easy in the society. Public officials have a sense of some of the limitations from the standpoint of our relationship in the international community to some of just the basic practical realities of raising shanty towns and rounding people up, and the constant inspections, to the financial implications of doing that as well.
Thank you to all the participants.